Peace and welcome to another episode of Artistry, where art meets industry. We are your hosts, Rochelle Etienne Robinson and Stan Substantial Robinson. Season 3 of Artistry is powered by Words, Beats, and Life. Peace, everyone. Welcome
Peace.
to Artistry, where art meets industry. We are your hosts, Rochelle Etienne Robinson and Stan Substantial Robinson. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Couple quick announcements to let you guys know about what we have going on. This month, for those of you that are cosplayers, convention goers, interested in manga, comics, and all things nerd, blurred, we will be at Otakon on July 29th through the 31st, where we will also be leading Sketchpads, which is our program featuring our special guest, Carolyn Malachi, and yours truly. Will be there in the house. Carolyn will be doing a live beat set, and I will be doing some live illustrations. We've also invited some cosplayers to be our in-house figure models for the audience to attend. This event is powered by our sponsors, Word Beats and Life. We also have Blick Art Materials and Bites and Beats. We have some goodie bags, so the first 100 attendees will receive a goodie bag, so make sure you check us out. Also, what else we got going on? We have in our store.
Oh yeah, we got our summer sale going on right now. 25% off of everything. So all merch on our store right now. You can receive discounts on it for the rest of the month into the first week of August. So definitely be sure to check that out as well. Just visit subartandmusic.com/store. We will make sure a link will pop up at some point in time during the show. And for those of you listening to the audio version of the podcast, thanks for tuning in. You can also visit that website as well to get your discount using the code SUMMER25. All right. So let's get into things. We got a special guest today, don't we?
Yes, we do. I'm so excited.
We got a special guest every week.
Yes,
you know
we do.
What I mean?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But today's special guest comes to us. Well, for those of you from the DMV area, she is a DMV native.
Mm-hmm.
She is also multi-talented. She is a singer, songwriter, performing artist, all-around good time.
Yeah, and she's from Prince George's County, Maryland, a fellow Suitland Ram. She was a part of the CVPA program. I always try to remember the extra letter, because back when I was there, it was just VPA, you know what I mean? But she's a fellow Ram and a member of the CVPA program. Everybody give it up for Tamara Jade. Clap it up, y'all, one time.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Queen.
Peace.
How are you?
I'm good. I accidentally exited out, and I was like, oh my God, I hope they're not
all good.
But you back.
Yeah, clap it up for making it in the nick of time and us dragging out the intro a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Put some salsa on it just a little bit.
No, what did I do?
It's all good. We're happy to see you. How you feeling?
I'm good. It was the VPA when I was there too, by the way. So
yeah, it's the extra letter be throwing me off. You know what I'm saying?
It's fine. We do what we have to do. We got to add an extra letter, then we do it.
Right. As long as they keep the program and all that.
Keep it going.
Keep it rocking. Listen, since we started talking about Suitland, let's talk about Suitland for a second, if you don't mind, before we jump into your whole story. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, I never mind talking about Suitland.
All right, dope. So yeah, man. So both of us attended the great Suitland High School. I believe you were there 10 years after me. We won't date us too much. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows I'm older than you.
All this wisdom. All this wisdom.
Right. But I wanted to know if you heard the good news that they started breaking ground on the new building and all that. Have you heard the announcement?
I'm so glad to hear that. It is way past time.
Yeah. Yes, because that building is 70 plus years old, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So,
I mean, I had heard that the budget to renovate that one school would take up like a quarter of the whole county's budget or something crazy. So that's why it was taking so long. So I'm glad it's happening. They really, really need it and deserve it. And I know that my friends and I, that are my colleagues that are out in the industry now, we didn't know we didn't have the resources when we were there. We
Oh
never
no.
felt like it. So now that I'm out in the entertainment industry, I think that that program deserves to be modernized, including
Yeah,
the physical location. It starts with the physical location, So
absolutely.
I'm excited for them, and I can't wait to see and be a part of the re-beautification or whatever they call it. They always got a fancy word for these things,
Yeah,
but
for sure, for
renovation.
sure. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely exciting. It's long overdue.
Yeah,
As somebody who still you know talks to different people in the school system and occasionally stops by some of these schools to speak to the young folk.
hmm
It's been tough, going into these newer buildings and stuff for certain schools, especially knowing what Suitland has contributed to this county, to PG,
yeah,
to the state of Maryland. You know,
absolutely,
so to see it take as long as it has, considering how many like talented people we've sent into the world who
yeah,
literally are changing the industries, creating other opportunities for so many folks,
yeah.
and yeah, it's sad it's taking this long, but I am
I'm
overjoyed. I'm
glad to see
super
it
excited.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then doing it for the middle school next door as well. Like the schools will be combined.
Oh, Drew Freeman.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like they're combining the campuses from what I saw. I'll send you a link to the things I
Okay.
saw, and you can see some of the like designs and stuff for the building and what it's going to look like.
It's funny.
Um,
I learned how to drive in that parking lot, Drew Freeman.
Word. Yeah, man. Yeah, lots of memories, but
Lots
it's
of
good.
memories. Some
Yeah,
we
from
can't talk about. Most I can't talk about, but
right.
lots of good memories. But all
Yeah.
good.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Well, first and foremost, how are you? I know, we ask all of our guests because, as you know, this show was birthed during the pandemic, and we're still very much in it. So,
Mhm.
how has the last 2 years have been for you?
Um, it's interesting because I've often felt in the last 2 years that it's been really hard to celebrate accomplishments in light of like
Mm.
so much suffering. Because I can't even hold you. Like these have been like two of the best years for my career. Like I can't even like light years. Like everything that I've prayed and worked for has been just manifesting itself in the last couple years. And so um I guess to answer your question, like I'm present. I'm staying present
Mm.
and I'm allowing myself to enjoy. I'm sorry, it's my brother's computer. I'm allowing myself to enjoy the moments as they
Yeah.
Mhm.
come, and I'm not the suffering of the world and everything that's happening around me isn't lost on me.
Yeah.
But I'm not allowing the gravity of everything to weigh on me. I'm picking and choosing what gravity I'm taking on when, if
Yeah.
that makes any sense. So overall, I'm great. I've really enjoyed spending these last couple years with my family. It's allowed me to really slow down, and honestly, I've still been traveling the whole time, some way, somehow. But I've still also been able to really like just spend time with my family, and
Hmm.
I guess I just didn't realize how much I needed that until I had it, or how much I
Right.
wasn't getting it until I was doing it more. And so it's been great. It's actually my brother and I were saying, like, oh man, like getting back out here is like, I'm going to miss hanging out this much. We never get to hang out this much. So
Yeah.
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 it's been great. It's been great, but I totally understand, and I don't relish in anyone suffering who's lost people, over the last few years, or who's dealt with their own really life threatening illnesses or anything like that. And I'm aware of those things, but I'm also like allowing myself to celebrate my wins in the
Absolutely.
Hmm.
process. And it's like, so I'm existing very presently in the moment.
Good.
That's what's up. That's
Good.
what's up.
Good. Well, as Stan had mentioned, you are from Prince George's County, specifically Bowie.
Hmm.
Um, having lived in the DMV, tell us about growing up in PG.
Oh, well, what about it? I mean, there's so much to say.
I
Like,
know. So I help you out. So as someone who's traveled so much and been in different parts of the country, lived in another part of the country, what are some of the things that like makes PG so unique to the Black experience
got
in this country, and all of that?
Okay, that's a very unique experience that honestly I did not appreciate as much until I left. Growing up in this, like, it's Wakanda, really. Like, when I
Yeah.
finally saw Black Panther, it was like, yeah, that's where I grew up. Like, everybody's black. The doctors are black. The architects are black. The Starbucks workers are black. Like, and it is what it is. Like, that's, and so I found myself looking for the PG County and everywhere else that I go.
Mm,
Um, and I'm often disappointed because it doesn't really exist other places as much. I do think that there are places that are making concerted efforts, and like,
yeah.
Atlanta's definitely becoming one of those places. And I heard Charles County is now beat PG County out for being the most affluent Black county because like everybody moved down there because the property taxes are cheaper. So, it's definitely like culture. I really appreciate how much like Black culture was ingrained in me from living here, and it's just the DMV in general. Um like I remember going to like summer festivals like Stone Soul Picnic or like DC Carnival was always in our family because we're Caribbean.
Mm,
Stone Soul Picnic, like what's the other one? Summer Spirit Festival, just like all the festivals you could go to for free with your family and see like major artists who otherwise you might have to pay hundreds of dollars to see at a theater or anything. So like it was just very I would say a culturally rich experience. And then growing up in a Caribbean household, that just kind of added to the culture. So I just feel like I grew up in a very like Pan African, blackity black
mm,
place. And I love
mm,
that. I will say that because of that, though, I experienced a huge culture shock going away for the
mm,
first time for college. I mean, that was my first time leaving, it was the first time living away. And that definitely, I went to rural Ohio, which is just complete opposite. So that was
mm,
difficult. It was really difficult navigating that space without the support system of the blackity black community that come from. So, but
right.
I've definitely learned how to um, find those feelings of community everywhere I am. And I do think coming from a place like that taught me the importance of that. And like, I'm very hyper aware that nothing I've accomplished or no place that I've gotten have I gotten there by myself
Mm-hmm.
or without the support of not just the community that continues to support me, but like the communities I come from, like my high school community and like Bowie and those places that still hold me up and hold me down.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
You had said that your parents are from the Caribbean. What country?
My mom is from Jamaica and my dad is from Guyana, South America.
That's
Hey.
what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Dope, dope. So, what was your first introduction to the arts and music specifically?
Definitely church.
Mm-hmm.
But pushing that further, first of all, my mom is a graduate of Duke Ellington School for the Arts. My older brother is a graduate of Baltimore School for the Arts. And then I'm a graduate
Wow.
of SUPNA. So we touched all the well, I think Northwestern has a program now too, but back in the day it was only those three
Yeah.
programs. So first of all, my family, but definitely in church. And then pushing that further, my mom was in Men and Women of the Gospel, which is under Washington Performing Arts Society. And then they also
Mm-hmm.
have Children of the Gospel, which she put my brothers and I in. And that honestly was like my earliest memory of like serious music. Like we were in there reading music. I mean, I was 8. I definitely wasn't reading music, but I was reading music. You know what I mean? I'm following along on the score. We're singing spirituals. I distinctly remember Richard Smallwood coming in to teach us the anthem of praise. Like, and even as a kid, knowing that like an artist coming in to teach you this song was like special, So
Mm-hmm.
that was probably one of my earliest real like I guess deep dives into the arts. And like my mom was very it was serious for her, so she taught us how to take it seriously. We were just talking about that today. It's like you really taught us like that you gotta use discipline. Like this is important. This is You're preparing for something. So like she didn't have to force us to practice. We loved it. She didn't have to drag us to choir practice. We loved it. And to this day, my best friend in the whole wide world, I met right there in that choir, and we are still thick as thieves. We're both in music. He's signed to Disney. He's over in Tokyo right now. We were just hanging in LA, and we were like literally sitting there crying, like, look at our lives. This is exactly what we said we wanted to do when we were 8 and 9 years old, and we are doing it. So yeah, that
So
was probably as early as it gets. Just definitely church and specifically Children of the Gospel under Washington Performing Arts Society was my early days.
that's what's up.
That's awesome.
Dope, super dope. Yeah. So how would you say over the years now, going from being introduced to the arts and now being an artist, a musician, how has your music, your art, how has it evolved over the years?
I mean, it all starts out by you just liking it and doing it and kind of imitating what you're hearing and like, picking and choosing. I like this, I don't like that. But I think it's for me, they've been able to evolve in that like I've had people to teach me the actual like mechanics of music or like engineering of music, like how do we break this thing down to its smallest parts,
Mm,
right? And that's not necessarily something that just as a consumer you're going to do. As a consumer you're just taking it in. But I think between then and now, really studying music both in an educational scholastic setting and in the out here in these streets,
mm,
um there's just like this need to break things down to their smallest pieces in order to build them back up for those of us that take on the task of creating music. It's not enough, at least for me, it's not enough to just like create. Like I need to understand the mechanics of this thing that I'm doing in order to accomplish the mission. So if I want to make people feel something, I know these types of chords or these types of notes or these types of phrases make that happen. And studying it is what really helped me give me language to do that. And I would say, I think my language has evolved. Of course, my skill set. I mean, I definitely feel like I'm singing now the best that I have ever in my life. And not even just the best, like the most effortlessly. Like I don't have to think about what's coming out of my body. I just trust that it's gonna. We've been doing this for
mm.
30 years. Do what I tell you, kind of a thing.
Right.
So definitely just like the ease with which I do what I do has evolved and the security and knowing my place in what it is that I'm doing. Not like knowing my place as in like superior and inferior, but knowing my place of like where I fit in and where my lanes are and where I'm comfortable and where I am being stretched and being okay with like acknowledging when those things are happening and saying, hey, this isn't necessarily my wheelhouse. This is what I bring to this, but I'm happy to do it. And also the inverse of that, knowing when you're bringing all these things to the table, but also knowing that that's not what somebody asked you for.
Right.
They asked you to do this one thing over here. Even though you know how to do 12 things, you don't have to insert all 12 of those things to this one thing that somebody asked you to do. So I would definitely say all those things just have evolved the skill set, the security, the ease with which I actually produce and create music. And then whatever the last thing I said was.
One of the things you said that I really resonated with, and I think the first time I heard someone say something similar was Bruce Lee. He was talking about martial arts and how his goal was to achieve natural unnaturalness or unnatural naturalness. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so just being able to channel certain things because he's done it so much, like just being able to, without even thinking about it, just turn it on. And so, yeah, so when you said that,
You
it's
know
like,
what's kind of tricky about that though, as an artist, right? Like
mhm,
that means that we have to turn the pain on and off. Like we
mhm,
have to turn joy on and off. We
yeah,
have to turn grief on and off. Like we have to learn how to, as artists, like turn these things on and off in order to like accomplish the mission. And it's like,
yeah.
so I think for me, one of the things that's been really important, even though you didn't ask me,
Nah,
is to
please.
prioritize taking those times by myself to work through things so
Mm,
that when I have to revisit pain, it's not destroying me in the process.
Right.
right.
When I'm singing about things that are real, because I haven't yet written anything that didn't really happen. So,
Right.
like, until I get to that point where, maybe I'm listening to other people's stories and I'm writing, but for right now, all this stuff happened to me. I have to be able to sing about these things and not like fall into a pile of mush and I can't finish the concert. Like
Right.
it it actually may be someone else's opportunity to sit in that audience and fall apart because they haven't been able to fall apart.
Yeah.
And I got to be able to give them that in a safe space. And as an artist, know how to not leave them there. I can't leave
Yeah.
you there. That's violent to me emotionally. I'm not going to allow you to sit in that and then not pick you back up or give you some tools to deal with what it is. So maybe the next song is about self-care or something like that, you know? But like,
Yeah.
I say all that to say that like that thing that you just said about like Bruce Lee and stuff, like that's very, very, very real. And I think when it comes to art, that's why a lot of us, it's easy for our lives to end in demise. Like that's the low hanging fruit. More artists, their lives end in demise and tragedy than the 20-hour funeral Aretha Franklin got. Like that was such a big deal because like our artists, our icons usually die in tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
So to see an artist live a full life, although she, you know, she was sick, like she lived a full life, had a full career,
Mm-hmm.
all those things was like, wow, we got to celebrate this. Like bring the pink
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cadillacs out. Like the queen is going home, you know? So
Right.
I look at all of those things and I really say to myself, it's important to make sure that my mental space is taken care of and is safe and is guarded and is loved by me and the people around me and my emotions and all that. Cause like we do have to toggle in and out of very strong, deep, and real emotions.
Wow, that was powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Seriously.
That was
Mm-hmm.
great. You know, in your career, you have worked and continue to work with some notable artists. What would you say has been some of the most memorable so far?
Definitely, I'll go in order. I mean, Lizzo was my first real like big name, and that was just first of all just crazy how it happened, how I got the gig. But I I don't really do cattle calls too much, but it was one of those. It's sorry, that's jargon, but cattle call is just like a, for those of you who don't know, big open audition. There's just a casting notice, and anybody can come audition, or anybody can submit and then be invited to audition. So I usually don't go for those because I hadn't had good experiences with them. But that casting notice looked like it said everything but Tamara Jade on it. Like it was like I have to, this is for me. And so going through the process, even long story short, y'all, my phone malfunctioned and SOS my parents and told them I was in distress and then died. So my parents are freaking out because they don't know where I am. They think someone has kidnapped me in New York City, but they know I have this big audition. So there is a possibility that something happened to my phone and I just went for the audition, but we don't want to take that risk. You know,
Right.
Right.
so they're literally looking all over New York City for me through my friends. My friends find me at the audition. They call that they used their superpowers and figured out where I was because I didn't tell anybody. We're not supposed to tell people where the audition is. And they find me. The proctor at the front desk is like, "Is there a Tamara single here?" And I'm like, "What?" And my answer from my friends like, "Tamara, your family is looking all over for you. Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Clearly, I'm at this audition, girl. What do you mean?" You know, so like that, all of that happened leading up to that audition. So it was like that made it memorable, first of all, and then the actual process going through it. Like she's just such an incredible, powerful person and generous. And I'm not even talking about money, just emotionally generous.
Mm-hmm.
The very last day after we had tech rehearsal and then one last rehearsal day and then the day of the VMAs. So the day before, it was just after tech and before show day. Tech just felt everybody nailed their steps, everybody sang the right notes, everybody landed on their mark, but it just didn't feel like the heart wasn't in it. And the creative director was like, you know, what do you think? Like I was like, well, let's just talk. Like everybody talk. Maybe there's something that's blocking everybody. I know personally I had never been on a stage that big. So I was intimidated. I wasn't about to tell nobody that, but I was intimidated. So I'm nailing the steps, but I'm still a deer in headlights. You know, it's like 5, 6, 7, 8, you know. And so
Right.
we have this powwow, and she literally heard from all 24 of us. She wanted to hear every last person how they felt. And it just became this big therapy session. There was people digging up like I just didn't even think I was worthy of being here. And, you know, people talking about how their parents made them feel like they could never do this because they were fat. And another girl that was like, you know, my brother just died a month ago to the day and I wasn't even gonna come to this audition because I didn't think I could. And so it was just like she made space for us to like let all of that go. And then she turned on she turned on some trap music, we twerked. And then she bought beef patties and cocoa bread.
Yes.
And we rehearsed, and that like literally is so unforgettable. And I'm so grateful that I get to tell people that like pretty much every artist that I've worked with, including John Legend, including John Baptiste, is exactly who they present themselves to be. There's no like, oh hey y'all. There's no like pretense. There's no like, oh, when they get on stage they're like this, but behind closed doors they like this. Like, no, not at all. These people, even Madonna. You know, I had a friend before I did the gig with Madonna, like, well, you know that what they say about her, she a lot, da 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 da. She held people accountable for what she was paying for. I asked for this, I paid you for this. Why isn't this here? And so I got to be on the inside and really see, like, oh, she's not a bitch. You don't like when a woman holds you accountable for what she asked you for.
There you go.
Right.
You know, so those are definitely just unforgettable. The Grammys was really, really fun. The Grammys was fun, honestly, because it felt like a reunion. Like we haven't been doing this for 2 years, so it was just so good to see like so many colleagues. And I know the Grammys is the Grammys, but honestly, the best part was like seeing my friends, and like I hadn't seen Lettucey in years, so like running to each other in the hallway, like, oh my God, girl, I miss you. Like Mickey Guyton and I had become close via social media, but we hadn't actually met each other. So it was like, oh my God, girl, bring it in. You know, so those are definitely some fun experiences. And then The Voice for sure is, I think I'll never forget that experience. It was great. And I'm literally going to a wedding next weekend for one of my teammates. Two of my teammates, actually, two of the gentlemen on my team met at The Voice, and now they're getting married next week. So it just really was a family experience, really was fun. I'm still friends, really close with a lot of those. I was just texting one of my old teammates today. She just had a baby last week. So, you know, I've been really blessed to have quality work. And it's not even about the volume, like, oh, I done this. I have friends who have done it all, like all the award shows, all the tours. But like, I can genuinely say that the things that I have done, top notch, top tier, high quality, and with great people.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to transition for a bit, but before we do that, I think we're going to take a quick break.
Yep.
And then when we come back, we're going to talk more with Tamara Jade.
And so like, so it's, I heard you say Tamara, right? That's the proper
Tamara like camera.
Okay, got you. Just making sure. You know what I'm saying? You know, black folk, man, we do some things with some names. You know what I'm saying? And so
Tanisha Johnson, everybody.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Remix. You know. But yeah, just wanted to make sure we say it right. All right, so folks, we'll be right back. We're going to take this quick commercial break. Shout out to our sponsor, Words, Beats, and Life. And y'all hang tight. We'll be right back. All right.
My name is Jakia Hall, and I am the Academy Manager and the Fashion Design Teacher. I've always been creative on my own, but being able to actually express it through a medium and being able to showcase to others the type of creativity I had probably helped me in the best way in terms of confidence. I've always been passionate about keeping the youth in the arts. It wasn't really an outlet when I was younger. Being able to showcase that to younger students who at a time may not have someone that is telling them that being an artist is a real career, and also being a black woman, of course. Being able to be that figure for them and let them know that if I can do it, you can do it, if not better. That's why I'm at Words, Beats, and Life. Enroll in my fashion design class today at wblinc.org/academy.
Hey, and we're back. All right. Shout out again to Words, Beats, and Life. Continuing to do great work in the DMV area and abroad, internationally as well. Thanks again for sponsoring this episode in this season of ARTdustry. All right. So, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so we're going to move right ahead. You know, we talk a lot about, you know, your path, your artistic journey. We want to know, what would you say have been some of your challenges with being an independent artist, as well as some advantages of being an independent artist.
Oh, I think you're muted.
Yeah, we have you on mute.
My bad.
No, all
I
good.
think the challenges and the pros are kind of similar. Like the challenge is that I'm doing it on my own, and the pro is that I'm doing it on my own. Like, you
Mm.
know, like when someone else's money is paying for things, you are accountable to their final decisions.
Yeah.
And so, because I don't have anybody funding this journey, I'm I'm the final say, you know, and so I can still choose what I want to do and what I don't want to do. I still create how I want to create, without any type of like bureaucracy. But definitely it's challenging because the thing about those machines, the machines that a record labels are, is that they've done this a million times. So they already have kind of like proven results, proven methods that if I just got a little piece of would make my life easier, but at what cost? So I would
Mm.
say as an independent artist that the independent part is probably the most challenging and rewarding because like when the wins happen, it's like I did this.
Mhm.
Somebody said something to me the other day, and they're like, "Yeah, because your rep, da 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 da." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't have a rep. It's me. I booked this."
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, so I would say that that one thing is both things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of you being an independent artist, you know, I'm sure you have a ridiculous amount of fans who know you from The Voice, and probably have favorite performances from or favorite moments from your time on that show. But
Yeah.
if someone was to come up and ask, like, if I want to learn more about Tamara Jade, like what song would you have them listen to? Like, what's the definitive song that you've made so far in your journey that you feel like? Because I got some favorites. I
Wait,
know
that I
which ones
wrote or
I
from
like.
The Voice?
Say no, no, not from The Voice, but of the stuff you've done outside of The Voice. Because I think so many people know you from that. I think that there are people who are now starting to, of course, and have been for sometimes going to your own shows and getting to know your music
Mm-hmm.
outside of you singing with other people or singing on that stage. So
Yeah.
what songs would you recommend, or what project would you recommend of yours for people to start with?
Okay, that's a new question I haven't gotten before. Um, well, I only have one project, so you should definitely go listen to that for sure.
Mm.
You'll get through it quickly. But of that, I if you asked me this question maybe a year ago, even 2 years ago, the answer would be different. But right now, I would say "Love
Hmm.
Simplicity" is a song
Mm.
that I would really recommend. As like, I think it like the storytelling that my brother and I created, like, is based on real events, but like that's the song that I think was like the underdog of my EP. I did not think that people would respond to it the way they did. I was just like, we gotta have a couple ballads on there. Like, okay, well, let's put this one. Like, we love this song, and other people might not get it or they might not love it, but we love it. And the response was just crazy. Like, I've had people come up to me in tears at concerts. Like, this is exactly where I am right now. Like, oh my gosh, like these words are exactly how I feel. And so I would definitely say like that one. Better. I still love
Mm.
Better. I wrote Better in the pandemic because I was just going stir crazy. I just couldn't believe God would allow me to be traveling the world and have all these good things happen, and then it just stopped. Like, how could you do this to me? But it wasn't happening to me. It was happening to everybody. And so I wanted to do something with that like anxiety that I was feeling, and like I don't purport at all to struggle with anxiety or suffer with anxiety or depression, but I do experience emotions of anxiousness, and I was definitely anxious during especially the first few months when they just kept saying like 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
And then by then it was like, okay, well, all my gigs are canceled now. So now I really don't know what's about to happen. And I have to believe that if my grandmother says that in her 80 years of life, she ain't never seen the world like this, then we have to go up from here. Like it's never been this bad in my grandma's lifetime.
Right.
So it's got to get better. Like we have to find some type of solution, some type of middle ground. The politicians are getting sick. Everybody's getting sick. Nobody's safe. So we got to
Right.
find. So I feel like that was one of the first songs that I ever wrote where I just like looked at the world and made a song that was about what's happening in the world, not just like my experience. So I would say maybe those two right now. Or maybe also Hair Down. That's not my
Mm-hmm.
song, that's a cover. But I covered it as if I wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've gotten a lot of good feedback from it, and a lot of people they don't know the original, so when they hear it they fall in love with it, and I'm like, oh, that's not even my song, you should hear the original,
Right.
and it makes me proud that I can cover someone's song in a way that makes people want to listen to it more or want to know, like, oh, that's not even your song, let me go listen to the original. Like, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you do an artist justice when you do that. Like, if you just do their song the way they did it, what's the point? Like, that's
Right.
karaoke. So maybe those three songs: Hair Down, Better, and Love Simplicity.
Yeah, that's what's up. When you started with Love and Simplicity, I'm like,
That's the one.
man,
That's the one.
that joint right there.
We were playing it earlier.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that one.
Man,
Yeah,
I'm
that
excited
one.
about that one because we've completely just developed. That was the song I took the longest to do live. I wouldn't perform it because I'm like, I don't
Mm,
know what to do with it. And we just stripped it down, and it's just like me and piano for a little while, and it's just the best kind of drama, just the best,
mhm.
all the drama. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it now.
Nah, it's a great record. Rescue
Thank
Me is
you.
dope as well. Like I love Rescue Me too.
That was a New York City check my bank account day, and
Yeah.
I wrote exactly what I was feeling, and it's
Mhm.
so interesting. People literally will tweet me or text me and be like, "It's a rescue me kind of day," and I'm like, "Do what you gotta do."
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Feel you. That's what's up. Yeah. So we talked about some of your past work, but what's next for you? I got the email blast. We got the email blast, so we know what's happening. But you want to tell the people what's the next big move? The
I didn't want to
next
do
big
there.
move.
Yes. So I am making the move finally to the West Coast, and I know since you guys have met me, I've been talking about this, but it's like finally happening for real this time. Not that it
Mhm.
wasn't happening before, but it's a process, and like I moved to New York before in 2016, and it was great, but it was also like I was not at all prepared for that. I
Mhm.
just knew it was time, and I was like, let's just go see what happens. I hadn't really saved much money. I didn't really have a plan. And so this time I'm older. I have a lot more stuff under my belt, and I'm really, really excited just about like all the new possibilities. I'm recording a lot more. I just did an Amazon Prime commercial. I got the
Oh,
check today, so I definitely did the commercial.
okay.
Um,
All right now.
Singing background vocals and doing voiceover in the Amazon Prime Day commercial with John Batiste. And so, celebrating and just kind of commemorating my move to LA, I'm doing a final concert, 2 nights, which is 4 shows, 2 shows per night at Minton's in Harlem. And that's just significant for me because Harlem is the first place I moved to in New York. And pretty much all of those songs that I wrote were written in New York City. It's where I grew up as an artist. It's where I grew up as a musician. It's where I learned how to hustle. It's where I got, the car splashing you in the rain. Like all that stuff happened. All of it's real. Believe it. Okay. All those things happen, but it really helped me to, I think, in that the latest, I'm not calling it the last, but the latest phase of evolution, like you asked about earlier, like the evolution, I think that was a phase of evolution for me, that 5 years that I was there. And so I'm going back there to commemorate that time before I make my transition. If anybody from this area want to come up, come up. I ain't doing a concert here again. I done did several. If you didn't make it, too bad. Come on to New York City, come hang with me. I'm going to actually be doing a live recording. So I'm going to be having some live arrangements of some of the songs that I mentioned, but also a listening party for new music. And I'm going to do live recordings of the new music too, and just introduce you guys to this next phase and next level of who I am and what I've been creating. And I'm really, really excited for all the new things. I found my dream apartment and everything, and we're just waiting for a renovated unit. That was definitely my favorite look for sure. That was a look, baby.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes,
Um,
honey.
you did that.
Yes. So that's what's coming up. And then after that, it's LA. You can catch me in LA. I'll still be, my family is still based here. This is, home studio. We in here. So I'll still be here for sure. But my family has already said we're doing Christmas in LA this year. So they're not even, they ready more than me. They're like, oh, when are we going? So yeah.
No pressure.
Right. I feel like every family, when they have a family member that moves somewhere where the weather is nicer,
Yes.
you already just prepare yourself. Christmas is Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever holiday is happening during the cold time, they coming through.
I don't even get it. I'm like, how did you guys come from the hottest places on earth and land in the bitter colds of winter every year? I'm over it. I'm returning to my people to the heat all year round. Y'all welcome to come if you want to.
Right.
So yeah, that's what's coming up next.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well,
That's what's
congratulations on all of the success.
For sure.
With so much that you've experienced in these last several years, what lessons would you say that you've learned that you can pass on to emerging artists that are following your footsteps?
I always answer that question differently, and I'm learning to answer that question based on where I am. So right now, one of the lessons that I'm learning about is ego. And I had a friend once say to me that your ego is like your mind's way of protecting your emotions. So it's like when your emotions are insecure, you feel doubt, your ego jumps up to say, no, like we got this. We know how to do this kind of a thing. And so sometimes like that needs to be checked. And then other times like we need confidence, we need these things because we feel insecure, we have this imposter syndrome. So I've just been learning like the nuances between things like humility and gratitude. I don't think the opposite of ego is humility. I think the opposite of ego is gratitude. And so my message and my lesson right now would be to check your ego, always check in with why you're doing what you're doing. And then on top of that, live in a state of gratitude. And I'm talking about, I'm just so thankful for this toothpaste. Like, whatever you gotta say thank you for.
Whether big or small. Right?
Yeah, if you practice with the small things, then it makes it not a task to do. And sometimes it's a task to do because our minds are so focused on the things that are not going right. But when you're living in a constant state of gratitude, like I learned that at an early age going to visit my family in Jamaica, it was like my cousins were so happy for my old beat up, crusty, hooked on phonics books and cassette tapes. It was like, we don't even use cassette tapes no more. Like, why are you pressed for these raggedy cassette tapes? But they were so excited to learn how to read. Like, it was just that simple. Like, I got stuff to learn how to read now. I don't have to depend on nobody to teach me now. Like, I'm it. So just putting in perspective, like, how much in my mind, I'm like, these are raggedy. Why are you happy for this? But in their mind, I'm grateful to learn how to read. Like that, learning that, like shift in perspective taught me at an early age. And I think I'm really sitting in that right now. Just like live in a state of gratitude, even when things aren't going the way you think they should. I've the yeses that I'm getting now make so many things, not just the no's, but like even interpersonal conflict makes sense now. Like, oh, that's why you could not rock with that person because this is where you vibrate. And in order for you to be your best self and accomplish these things, you have to vibrate here. So you can't rock with people like that. Like, and it becomes that simple, it becomes that plain, and it helps you navigate, especially if you're an independent artist. Again, like I said earlier, I'm the final say. So a lot of this is coming from my vision, coming from my gut, coming from the things that I see that I say, you know what, I think I want to try that too. Like, when you live in a state of gratitude, it makes it much easier to recognize timing and recognize signs and recognize. I don't remember what I was doing today, but I was thinking about something. I'm like, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? And then I think a song came on that was literally about that. And I was like, okay, I guess that's my sign. And I'm not going to question it at this point. There was a time where it'd be like, was that my Lord, send me a sign? And then I don't remember the end of Bruce Almighty where he's like, Lord, send me a sign. And then the truck pulls in front of him. And it's a truck of road signs that are like, stop, do not enter, one way, turn around, do not go forward. And he's like, oh man, who's this joker? Get out of my way. And it's like, okay, well, you asked for the signs and here they go. So I say all that to say, long way, gratitude, like live in gratitude. And if being gracious and being thankful and recognizing the things that you should be grateful for is difficult for you, then you need to go to therapy. Because there's way too much that you could just look at. Anytime I hear a baby crying, I'm like, ooh, thank you, Lord. Like, first of all, thank you, Lord, that I got to hear that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got to experience a little moment of joy or, so I do think that gratitude is just so important. And so it doesn't get enough credit, We all in the you did this self-made era, and that's cute, but that's not real. Nobody is self-made.
Right.
Nobody's self-made. So gratitude. Be grateful.
Well, we thank you, honey.
Yeah. No, it's the timing of what you said is crazy. Just had a great conversation. I ain't gonna put my man's name out there, but one of the homies I was talking to yesterday, and we were just talking about like some of the challenges over the years and stuff, self-made artists or independent artists, my bad, who's gone through it like most of us, and and he was just talking about the struggle of dealing with all of that. And I was telling him about earlier how we had a lot of fun, but sometimes there were moments where how they responded in certain, whether it was performances, how they acted after the show, like they were so hard on themselves, right? Like they couldn't really enjoy what it was we were doing. And I felt like over the years that wore them down a lot. And I just told them, I was like, man, I think one of the things that helped me hang in there was, I started saying at shows, it was like, hey, so, anytime I got in front of a crowd that I knew didn't know me very well, and I knew I was going to have to work this audience a bit harder than I did most, right? I would just say, I'm like, hey, so listen, I'm literally up here doing the thing that I've dreamed of doing since I was 14, right? Like, I started writing before then, but for around 14 to 15, that's when I knew this could be a thing. And so that alone, fam, I'm good. I'm about to have a great time. And I'm hoping that you'll join me. But if not, man,
Me, myself, and I finna have a blast.
Right. It's the straight doing my dad thing, laughing at my own jokes on stage. And it's like, nobody got to be with me, fam. Like, yo, someone thought enough of me to invite me here to do what I love doing for y'all. Yeah. So I got all, like, that's so much to be grateful for right there. Let alone the journey here and all of the other things I experienced on the way to just getting on this stage. Yeah. And so yeah, man, I really resonate with what you just said. That was powerful.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, we do have a couple things that we want to do. We have some rapid fire questions for you. This is the fun part. So what you're going to do, we're going to have 5 questions. You're just going to tell us the first thing that comes to your head, that you think of. So, you ready?
You sure you want to do this with me? Y'all know I'm wild, child.
Don't worry.
That's exactly why we're doing it.
It's all PG. It's all PG.
And that's the problem, right? You know what I'm saying? It's all PG. You know what I'm saying? You can't be asking us these questions.
Right. So, the first one is, right? So, what would you, number 1, favorite song or record? Anything.
I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor.
Okay. Yes. I like that one.
All right. Most memorable performance that you were a part of?
I'm just going to say right now the Johns Hopkins spring fair, where I opened for Meek Mill and Cash Cash.
Dope.
Okay.
That's what's up.
Okay. Number 3, your pre-show ritual. What do you do to prepare yourself?
Do you really want me to say that here?
It's just us amongst friends. It's just us.
And whoever else decides to watch this
I definitely fire up a blunt, usually. Relax, because I'm usually nervous. Yeah, that's usually it. Just relax, finding ways to relax, chill. I'm not at the place anymore where I do like last minute practicing. Like I don't, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. So yeah, just relax, chill out. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, favorite concert venue?
Oh, that's a hard one. Red Rocks. That was insane.
We were just talking. You got to do that one. That's great.
Red Rocks was insane. The altitude is a little crazy, but it's just like you can't turn to a bad view. There's no bad view anywhere you turn.
We were just watching
Bill Burr stand up
on Netflix, and he's at Red Rocks, and we were just like, "This is amazing! I've never seen."
Yeah, I've never performed there. We got when I performed in Denver, we drove up to it, so I got to see it, but I didn't get to bless that stage. So God bless you. That is dope. That's super dope.
Yes, Red Rocks is gorgeous for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. And then the last one: if you can sing only one song for the rest of your life.
Oh no!
What would it be?
Like literally, I had to walk around and people asking me questions, and all I could do is sing the song back to them and stuff.
If you could only perform one song.
Oh, okay. Probably I Will Survive. That's my favorite song to sing. I love singing that song.
I will survive.
Yeah, it'd be that one because I could do both the slow version. I could do, speed it up. We could go a lot of places. So that one. Okay. But I do not only want to perform that. If you want to book me,
I'm gonna throw one more lightning round joint in there. You know what I'm saying? For the PG folk. For the PG folk.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. What's your favorite place to get wings and mambo from?
It's Eddie's, is it called, or Eastern? It's the one on Old Marlboro Pike. By my friend's dance school is in that same parking lot. By the school.
Is it Jerry's or Eddie's?
Nah, she was saying Eddie or Eastern joint.
Is it Eastern or Eddie?
You said off of Old Marlboro Pike. Yeah, so she's talking about near my old neighborhood, not too far from there. So yeah, I believe that's
It's like the next parking lot is the Pep Boys or something.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
right there
about.
got the best mambo sauce I ever had in my whole black life.
Yeah.
Besides Capital City mambo sauce is fire.
Yeah, Capital City is legit.
They figured it out. Rest in peace, Papa Capital City. But they figured that thing out in that bottle, baby.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They carry out right there. If I'm in town, I definitely stop there every time. I try not to go on that side of town so that I don't get wings and fries.
That's what's up. Dope.
Oh, that was so good. Hun, thank you so much for giving us your time. I know you have a crazy schedule. Mm-hmm. We want to wish you all the best.
Absolutely.
Thank
Much
you.
deserved. No, seriously.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And tell your brother we said peace as well.
I will.
And when we come to the West Coast, because we come to the West Coast in the fall, so we're gonna have to come look you up.
Please
if you could squeeze us in.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course. Anything to you, really nice.
That's what's up.
What's up.
But thank you so much to everyone watching. Those of you listening to the podcast later, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to make sure that you follow Tamara Jade. I'm going to make sure that her links are available in the description of the video, but also for those of you watching, you should see it running across the bottom right now. Shout out to some of the folks who joined, who were watching. Shout out to Stephanie Gale, another Suitland alum, you know what I mean? Talented vocalist as well, yeah. So shout out to her. Shout out to MCP Blackheart as well for tuning in. And once again, thank you to our sponsor, Words, Beats, and Life. We appreciate you so much. But yeah, sis, we wish you all the best.
Thank
if you
you.
can hang around a little bit in the back, we'll talk off screen. But
Yes,
to every
I'm gonna look at this chat. I didn't even realize it was here. I'm so slow.
yeah, it was a little something slight. Like I said, most people catch the shows after the fact and stuff because we have the audio version of the podcast as well. But definitely shout out to everyone who did catch us while we were live. Hey, that's what's up. Rams represent.
Yeah.
Clap it up for the Rams.
And most people
know?
don't know that my best friend and I wrote the current school song. We remixed the
Wow.
old crusty one and the one that they have been singing since about 2006. My best friend and I wrote. We go-go ties. It is a go-go song. So when you hear people say Suitland High School,
yeah. Oh, I know it because a couple years ago, before I retired from working full time in the school system, you know, I was at Suitland in 2017, 2018
They're
school
still
year.
singing
So
it.
yeah, I used to hear it all the time. That's dope.
That's us.
Yeah. All right, sis. So thank you again for tuning in, everybody. And tomorrow, Tamara, pardon. But catch myself. You know what I'm saying? Wait a minute.
And those of you that follow her, she's Tamara at Tamara Jade Music or TamaraJadeMusic.com. TamaraJade. Next show will be in 2 weeks, where we will be meeting with none other than
Next week.
Jarbo.
Oh yeah, we got Mr. Jarbo next week. Shout out to my brother Mega Ran. You know, he is a nerdcore pioneer in hip hop. First rapper to perform at Comic-Con. Also, he was in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the first rapper actually sponsored by a game console, Sega. Shout out to that brother, man, an amazing talent, good friend. He's also a Billboard charting artist as well. So we got some pretty awesome folks, man, in our circle, man. We blessed to know people like Tamara, Mega Ran, and so many of our guests who stopped by. But yeah, y'all, so we're going to get out of here, and we will catch y'all next week. And one last reminder before we go, that you can catch us at Otakon. We will be there July 29th through the 31st doing our next Sketchpads event. So come through, listen to some live beats, come through and draw with us, pick up your goodie bags, all that good stuff. Enjoy yourself. All right.
Peace.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for listening to ARTdustry, where art meets industry. Season 3 of ARTdustry is sponsored by Words, Beats, and Life. Visit www.wblinc.org to learn more. This podcast is produced by Substantial Art and Music. For more information, please visit www.subartandmusic.com. You can also follow us on social media at subartandmusic. Peace.